Welcome back, everybody, to the Good Game Nation podcast. This is our monthly show about all things Dragon Ball Super. Today, our guest is
Justin Jroc artist. How's it going, everybody?
How you doing?
I'm alright, just got off work.
So, first thing we're going to do is talk about the Dragon Ball Super anime. So, if you haven't watched the new episodes, this is our spoiler, one and only. You have anything about spoilers? Do you want to warn them in any way?
If you haven't watched the show, pause now, but come back. Please come back.
Okay, so in the anime, throughout the entire tournament, we've had great moments from characters that we don't traditionally see have big spots. So in our first podcast, we talked about Roshi having a big moment before he got knocked out. I think everyone except for Tien has had a moment. What do you think about these last two episodes and the moments they gave to 17 and Vegeta?
I mean, it sucks that still Vegeta doesn't get to beat a boss, a villain, but I'm super happy with 17 getting some spotlight. I mean, we have the old 17 things are possibly non-canon Super 17 and stuff that gave some insight to him, but getting to see him in this last episode, 2 episodes ago, show off this show of force, showing off the infinite energy with 18, and then finally showing off against Jiren, and not only stopping him from knocking anyone else off, giving time for Goku and Vegeta to rest up, restore some stamina, along with the barrier, and sacrificing himself was a really good episode.
Yeah, his moment I feel like is hitting a little bit stronger for me so far, because he's the only one that's technically dead at the moment. He literally killed himself to stop them from getting knocked out. So with his moment of actual death, while everyone else has just been a lot of really good character building and development and stuff, and giving them a moment to shine, he's the only one that has literally sacrificed himself so far, right?
Yes, I think it was really cool. It was touching. Right before he implodes, he embraces that human side, and he's how it's a nice touch, and it's an interesting insight to realize the big difference between him and 18 in the aspects of humanity and androids. Yeah,
because he's still kind of android, but they got the bomb removed from them with the wish and stuff, so they still have this human aspect to them that he was finally this human moment of me. How human of me to do this.
Yeah, 18 fully embraced it, but 17 hadn't really felt more human than machine.
Mm-hmm. So we found out a little bit more about Jiren's background and how he only trusts in his own strength and he doesn't trust in his allies, which is kind of sad, but I feel like Goku's whole thing is his friends trust in him, and that's the thing about the Spirit Bomb is he's asking for everyone's trust in him to protect. So they're really opposites. The only thing we haven't considered is Frieza still in the ring somewhere.
Oh, no one's supposed to know about that.
No one's about. Okay, we won't talk about it. What do you think is gonna happen? Do you think Goku pulls off something in the end, or what do you think is gonna be the wish also?
Well, I mean, we just saw the Ultra Instinct going into that, and so, but then at the end credits, we see Jiren making this giant impactful blow to Goku, even though he's supposed to be Ultra Instinct, so he's supposed to physically dodge everything. But it's Goku, so obviously at some point he's gonna pull out some extra bag of tricks that he just shouldn't have. I'm thinking at some point, Krillin tosses that little bag of senzu beans. Frieza gets it.
Game over.
Frieza gets the senzu beans, you know? And then just as Goku and Jiren are having it out, Frieza's just going to blow up the rock under him.
Just game over, Frieza wins.
And then Frieza uses the wish to become the new god of destruction.
God of all destructions? Like, is he going for Zeno stuff, or...
I don't think he cares that much.
Just a god of destruction. He wants to be up
because his universe will still exist, and then he's just gonna get rid of Beerus because Beerus likes to pick on him.
Because I don't think they could have Goku lose, because the end of the series, he's not gonna wish back all the universes. He's like,
Goku's the kind of person that would like. If Goku wish for all of Universe 7's wishes or something.
Yeah,
like it would be some outlandish.
Yeah. So what would Jiren's not gonna wish for Universe 7 to come back? So if they have Jiren win, series over.
If Jiren wins, there's gonna be some sort of loophole where Zeno really likes Goku because he's exciting. Goku. So they'll be like or. They could just have him in the last moments knock Frieza out somehow. Like he tries to jump into the fight at the last minute, and then some loophole where it ends up in a draw.
Yeah. Once time runs out, it would be 1-1 if Frieza gets knocked out.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Moving on to the trading card game, we have a new set coming out. The Crossworlds is set 3, and it's coming out March 9th. We now have, I think, all of the new black cards out, which is a new developing archetype of the overworld. What are your opinions on the new overworld?
I mean, it's a really interesting mechanic where now instead of playing the cards mana cost to play them, you take your discard pile and remove all of them, and you need minimums per overrealm, and you can only use the cards once per turn, even if you were to combo out over another attack and refill your discard.
Yeah.
So it's a very limited, but at the same time, unlimited resource, because you can tap out completely, play all your big plays, and then still summon like a 20,000 double strike or a 15k blocker.
Yeah, I think some of the cards even have a blue-yellow, or I think it's like blue-green and yellow. There's the Miras or whatever they're called.
Yeah, there's a few that...
They're trying to entice you to not play solo black. They want you to mix it a little bit so that you have this cool new mechanic where you're still playing blue and black or green and black, so that you get this overworld mechanic that they're trying to push on us.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, this sort of push to a multicolor structure. I mean, the game's already been in a multiple color meta, where we usually see 2 to 3 colors in a deck, but now it forces it's not forcing you, because you can just play black. It's just a far lower resource pool, and putting black in there to give you not only extra combo cards, but these extra powerful end of turn cards. It's really interesting that they would push towards multicolors when it seemed like in set 1 they kind of wanted you to favoritize a certain color.
Mono red, mono blue, but now they're like, oh well, I guess you guys are already doing you're already doing it, so let's embrace it and give you black and encourage multicolor. So last time we talked about how cool it would be about new awaken mechanics, new leader mechanics. We saw a little bit of set 2 having different awakens, with the android being awakened early and all that. So now we have a new leader mechanic of, instead of drawing 2 when you awaken, you have to untap mana. What do you think about this new untapped mana leader awakening?
It's an interesting concept, but I've come from a lot of TCGs, and one of the big things is always drawing cards. The more resources you have, the more cards you have to use. the higher chance of your success. So, I mean, untapping energy is cool. It's one of those scenarios where everyone's afraid to play a card on the corresponding turn because if I have 4 energy and the card costs 4, I can't negate something next turn.
Mm-hmm.
But this allows you to play your 4 cost card on 4 energy, awaken, untap some energy, and continue on a defensive route, and then go back to your offensive route on your next turn.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, and I like that they didn't do it to all of the leaders. Some leaders still have draw, so you're going to have that idea too, but the leaders they gave it to, it might work for them. Around their deck mechanics, you might be able to slide this new awakening around it so that you have maybe more draw power in different aspects of your game. So you're not relying on an awaken to get 2 cards in and hopefully come back. You're using your awakening to push further and harder with extra energy.
True. And then they've also added more cards that allow you to draw and search.
Mm-hmm.
So they've made up for the cards lacking in draw power by giving you these extra cards that you need that extra energy to get those extra cards.
Yeah. So not only did they change some of the leaders' awakenings, they also added a couple new types of cards. They added barrier. They added different types of evolving, which seem like they're going to be a little bit harder on one side of the card than the other. So old evolves would be heavier on mana, while these are a little bit more tougher on field presence, and you're going to have to discard. And then there's also the retroactive adding of super combo to the original 10k boost, and adding new super combo cards that have different effects. What do you think about the new super combos first? And do you think the evolves are any good?
Most of the super combos I've seen reflected a lot on the old super combos. Like the new red super combo is just a direct translation of the old, except now you have a searchable version, which helps a lot. But you had a small tutor in the old deck that you could use for that. It wasn't really a big issue of getting to that. Some of them I feel I'd rather just use the old super combo, get my guaranteed draws and my guaranteed 1k boost. But along the lines of, I mean, the green super combo, forcing your opponent out of a card instead of you gaining a card, can be equally advantageous. I mean, a lot of the times you want that extra card to push over because you know they have an extra card over you. So getting rid of that extra card, especially if their hand is full of 1 energy 10k boosts and you get rid of one of those, so it's reduces the pressure on you.
Yeah. I think the new Evol cards are going to be good. I want to see how people are going to start playing them, because like we have an idea of what our secret card's going to be. It's going to be an evolve of some sort, and with it being suspiciously probably Goku, because I mean, it's Dragon Ball, and we have like 3 Gokus coming out of the set. We have 2 in the set and 1 in the starter deck or something like that. We're probably getting another secret with Goku, and it's going to be some type of evolve. And it looks like you're going to want to be evolving up into it, so you're going to have a card ready for this big Super Saiyan 4 whatever Goku. So I want to see how it's going to impact how people play, because I think they're going to have to play a little bit differently, maybe play a little bit less aggressive in some states, and then drop this big EX or Xeno Evolve card that's going to make a difference to the board. Like, they want to make it an impact, and they're making you pay for it.
I mean, Evolve in general is not an awkward mechanic, but it's still a learning curve to the mechanic for a lot of players. We're still learning a lot. We're still having a lot of combos with Evolves currently. So this new Evolve mechanic it's gonna increase the skill cap in the game, which I think is good. It's gonna help better players perform better, and it's gonna help the weaker players learn those tactics and get to that next level. Yeah,
and then that's a great point. I agree that the skill level is going to have to move up to catch up with this new mechanic, because it is a little bit deeper than stuff before. I think barrier is going to be saturating every deck, like oversaturating deck. So I think that cards that are targeting, like Kale and everything else that board targets, are going to drop a lot in card count in decks and in price, because you're not going to need them as much, because everything's going to have barrier. If you're playing against a grade 8 deck, one of their cards gives all of their cards barrier, and you can't target their side of the field. There might be some wording that you might be able to get around. I saw people talking about, like in some other games, there's like wording where if it says like up to maybe, or the wording of the card allows you still to select a card. I think there's cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that do that, where it's like, oh, my cards are protected, but the wording of this card actually gets around it. It's a little loophole in it. So there might be some technicalities with that, but barrier I think is really good. There's the Goku that's a blocker with barrier that restands at the end of the turn. What do you think about the new barrier mechanic?
It's very interesting, and on the topic you were saying, again, that's where the skill cap comes into the game. Like, a lot of people are gonna flood to barrier cards because they're considering everyone's already playing these cards that target for removal or to rest, things like that of that nature. So the board a lot of targeting cards will go away, more barrier cards will come in, and then it's just going to turn into these standoffs between barrier cards. But the problem is, people are still going to have to play non-barrier cards. Not every card that has barrier is going to break your game. It's not going to increase your win condition. So if you reduce your number of targeting cards, you reduce your outs to their win conditions. So it's one of those things where you have to find the balance. Too many people are going to have a lot of barriers, so people are going to be afraid to play targeting cards, but not playing targeting cards is going to end up costing you a lot more games.
Yeah, because your targeting cards are cards that are going to help you win. So,
and like you were saying, with the loophole of certain things, there's probably going to be a few erratas on older cards that were supposed to be like generic area of effects, like non-targeting, just blow up the whole board. Yeah. And then I'm still a big fan of the 7-drop Zeno from set 2 that negates every card on the board and puts them all back into the deck and resets. So like that might see a surge in play as well. Yeah.
A few of the cards that we thought would be good to talk about was the Fearless Pan, the UI Son Goku, Unstoppable Ambition SS Khalifa, and Explosive Spirit Son Goku. And then there's the Super Saiyan 3 Bardock. So with the UI Son Goku, I believe you can't counter it. It takes all your battle cards off, your opponent's battle cards off, and then you're able to triple strike, right?
Yeah, it has triple strike. The opponent's not allowed to combo.
Oh, not allowed to combo.
For the rest of the card battle. Okay. And when you evolve into that Goku, you return all of your opponent's battle cards into their owner's hand.
So then like you have a free... It's a win condition for the deck.
That's supposed to be your game finisher.
Yeah. I think it's nice that they're bringing in something that's brand new to the anime with UI. Maybe a couple months old that it's happened. So I'm really excited to see what they do with like anime characters like Topo that went through a big transformation before he went out. So I hope in the next set we're going to see a lot of the cards that are really recent to bring anime watchers into the card game. We were just talking about Explosive Spirit Son Goku in a sense with the new barrier mechanic. I think that card's going to be really exciting for the decks that they played in. What's your opinion on Explosive Spirit Son Goku and the Super Saiyan Khalifa?
That's the Goku that has barrier.
Yeah, and barrier blocker.
It's really interesting that because a lot of the times when decks that I've played in particular, and then a lot of the people around me playing decks, try to target the blockers to get rid of them or to rest them. Not having that strategy is really going to push, like, how do you play around this now? So the barrier blocker, I think, is a whole nother step to the barrier in the mechanic in itself. Especially with, like you were saying, with the great apes, some of them having blocker and then gaining barrier on top of that, and the ability to restand is just, it's incredible that these it sounds like almost unhealthy game states can be created here, because you're just block attack. Oh, you can't target me because I have barrier, so you can't stop me from blocking the attack. And then older cards like Zarbon restanding if you can't restand already.
Yeah.
So you have this untargetable blocker that can block multiple times in one fight.
So it sounds like you're gonna have a hard time getting around him, but we had the Whist that was indestructible, and people are finding ways around it where force your opponent to block too many times, and then you're just attacking through it. Or it's not a high powered card, right? You're going to be able to get around it because it's going to be able to block once. It only restands after it attacks on a turn or something like that. So you're not going to block, restand. It's just going to block once, and then you might be able to attack over it. So barrier just stops, I think, you targeting it with effects. So I think it's going to be okay, but it's scary to think that Great Apes might have a good opportunity to hit all barriers. Like, oh, don't target anything on my side of the field with your card effects. That means all your targets are bad. So you have to clear out the one card that gives everything barrier. And if they don't attack with it, then it's never rested and you can't target it to get it off the field. So it could very well be very unhealthy for the apes to be played. Like, you're going to have opponents of Great Apes, possibly, unless the deck's garbage, and then we don't have to worry about Great Apes at all.
I mean, everything's theoretical at this point. We won't know until the cards have come out and people can get their hands on them and start doing these real in-depth testing, and the large events are going to tell a lot. Yeah, and what are you most looking forward to in the next set? Are you looking forward to playing an old deck with a new spin, a new deck in general, or what are you looking forward to? Well, just out of personal joy, I in no way am condoning the use of this leader. I do not actually believe that this leader has any place in the meta. Yeah. But the new Majin Buu leader is pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. So you're placing cards underneath, and once you hit 2 cards, you start to draw. Once you awaken, you're still placing cards underneath, and you're drawing. But then you have the option to remove 5 cards from underneath him and gain 5,000 for the rest of that turn. It's not a once per turn effect, so you can do it multiple times if you have multiple sets of 5 cards underneath. And they've come out with quite a few new blue Majin Buu cards, and in particular they've come out with 2 different cards that give you the option to turn your opponent's cards underneath your Buu leader if you or any of your Buus. Buu make you cookie. Yeah. That's like, I'm super hyped about this card. Even though you have to discard, you're stealing one of your opponent's 3 or lower cards and placing it underneath your leader, giving you more power for your draw, more power for your end of the turn or end of your end game, because once you've stacked up not only your own cards, but now you're taking your opponent's cards, placing them underneath, using them to boost up to 25, 35. Yeah. Who knows? These unpredictable numbers from this completely revived Majin Buu. Yeah. I think I'm looking forward. I like what they did with yellow this set. I feel like last set they were relying on yellow being good around a card that you could have infinite amount, and I don't think it's performing or will perform well. So I like that yellow is coming back with Great Apes, which a lot of people are excited about. I'm looking forward to seeing what people do with red, with the Fearless Pan, and seeing what type of shenanigans can come out of taking older stuff and adding it into this new red set. I like that there's a lot of gods in this set,
it could push us towards the supreme god that lets you add all your gods into your mana.
Yes.
I think that would be a very interesting thing to do. I don't know if you're going to want to play like a time Whis. I think it's too slow. 12 mana to be able to do whatever you want might still be too slow when you have cards that are able to be 15 turn 2 1500 attackers and stuff like that. So I think time Whis might be too slow, but just getting a bunch of mana, like if you tap out and you need more mana and you go through your attacks with all your gods and then you play this card and you get more mana back or whatever. So it would be really cool to see a push for that and see if we could get like set 1 Beerus Leader, try to hit 16 because you have a lot of god targets now and you have a god searcher with U10 from last set. So you could have a lot of fun with gods. I don't know how competitive it's going to be though.
It's unfortunate because we were just talking about the barrier and the Beerus Leader needing to target these smaller cards in order to have a full effect from his attacks. But I mean, 16 energy, if you have all these gods on the board, toss them in your energy on turn 7, and you jam out, and now you're on 16 energy. As soon as you awaken, game's over. So it does create these problematic scenarios. It's really scary to think of what these players that have been playing since set 1 are going to do to incorporate the combination of cards here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens at large-scale tournaments and see if we can come up with stuff that we're not expecting, like playing a little bit of set 1 and 3 together to make this really interesting deck idea that's coming out of nowhere because it's a really creative deck that we haven't thought of yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the players that are more experienced do with set 3.
Yeah, the incorporation of black cards, barrier cards, things like Senzu Bean and Whist's Coercion, all these combined cards from set 1, set 3, even the stuff from set 2, like you were touching on the gods, and there's Gawasu from set 2, searching out half of your new cards. Yeah. It just creates these scary scenarios that would just, I mean, that's the point of the game, though.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I hope that we get a surge in a meta that is unexpected. I want to see something unexpected happen. And I think these new cards are, besides the fact that they're new, are going to create new unexpected things, especially with Overwhelm being seemingly splashable in anything. Anything that doesn't require stuff being in the graveyard.
I mean, people have played around that already with the few Overwhelm cards we've had. Yeah. So, I mean, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And some of these new black cards are looking a lot better than the older black cards we've gotten. So this overall mechanic is going to be a whole new ballgame.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens. I think that's all we have time for today. So thank you for stopping by. I appreciate the conversation. It's always fun. Thank you all for stopping by. If you thought we missed out on anything, leave it in the comments down below. What do you think's going to be exciting for set 3, and what do you think's going to happen in the anime? I'm really looking forward to the next few episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you for stopping by.